from Isaiah. For as the rain and the snow come down from heaven, and do not return there until they have watered the earth, making it bring forth and sprout, giving seed to the sower and bread to the eater, so shall my word be that goes out from my mouth. It shall not return to me empty, but it shall accomplish that which I propose, and succeed in the thing for which I sent it. For you shall go out in joy, and be led back in peace. The mountains and the hills before you shall burst into song, and all the trees of the field shall clap their hands. Instead of the thorn shall come up the cypress, instead of the briar shall come up the myrtle, and it shall be to the Lord for a memorial, for an everlasting sign that shall not be cut off. The word of the Lord.
Thanks be to God.
A reading from the 8th chapter of Romans. There is therefore now no condemnation for those who are in Christ Jesus. For the law of the Spirit of life in Christ Jesus has set you free from the law of sin and death. For God has done what the law, weakened by the flesh, could not do, by sending his own Son in the likeness of sinful flesh, and to deal with sin, he condemned sin in the flesh, so that the just requirement of the law might be fulfilled in us, who walk not according to the flesh, but according to the Spirit. For those who live according to the flesh set their minds on the things of the flesh, but those who live according to the Spirit set their minds on the things of the Spirit. To set the mind on the flesh is death, but to set the mind on the Spirit is life and peace. For this reason, the mind that is set on the flesh is hostile to God. It does not submit to God's law, indeed it cannot. And those who are in the flesh cannot please God. But you are not in the flesh, you are in the Spirit, since the Spirit of God dwells in you. Anyone who does not have the Spirit of Christ does not belong to him. But if Christ is in you, though the body is dead because of sin, the Spirit is life because of righteousness. If the Spirit of him who raised Jesus from the dead dwells in you, he who raised Christ from the dead will give life to your mortal bodies also through his Spirit that dwells in you. The word of the Lord.
Thanks be to God.
Other seeds fell on good soil and brought forth grain, some 100-fold, some 60, some 30. This is what was sown on the path. As for what was sown on rocky ground, this is the one who hears the word and immediately receives it with joy. Yet such a person has no root, but endures only for a while, and when trouble or persecution arises on account of the word, that person immediately falls away. As for what was sown among thorns, this is the one who hears the word, but the cares of the world and the lure of wealth choke the word, and it yields nothing. But as for what was sown on good soil, this is the one who hears the word and understands it, who indeed bears fruit, and yields in one case 100-fold, in another 60, and in another 30. The gospel of the Lord.
Thanks be to God.
I want to invite the kids to come and join me. We should choose one side or the other. I think let's sit on this side. We can sit on the fishy cushions. Some of us anyway. Fishy cushions, yeah. So just make sure that you can see, okay? So in the story that we just heard, Jesus is talking about seeds. Do any of you guys have a garden? Yeah? Have you ever planted seeds? Your mom killed them? Oh. But you know what? Seeds are kind of funny. That's what Jesus was saying, that sometimes things have to be just right for seeds to grow. I have some corn seeds here. I'm going to show you these things. And they're pretty, they don't look very impressive. They're kind of small. Like, let me put a couple of them in my hand so you can see. They look like shriveled popcorn, huh? Right? Like shriveled popcorn seeds, kind of. So these are corn seeds. And sometimes when you plant things, they grow, and sometimes they don't. So if I plant these seeds on like a pathway that people have walked on, do you think they'll grow? No. If I plant them in soil that has lots of rocks, do you think they'll grow very well? It's kind of dusty and rocky. Yeah. If I plant them